All right, welcome back. This is, I think, part 2 of our new ReadyPlayerMe dig deep, everything you need to know about ReadyPlayerMe. Last episode was just an introduction. In this one, we're going to dive into the avatar creator, which so many people have messaged me about, and unfortunately I just had to let them know I haven't messed with it because I do mostly VR projects and you have to have a $200 plugin to do it in VR. But let's go ahead and do what probably most of you are utilizing ReadyPlayerMe avatars for, and that's a WebGL project. So if you want to be able to have players create their own avatar in your WebGL application, it seems pretty straightforward. I've never done it, so we're going to learn it together. So right here in the documentation, there's Avatar Creator for WebGL. And what you need is a WebGL template. All right, so if we go to download, oh no, that's the SDK. Let's go back here to blah, 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 blah. Here we go. We want the Unity WebGL example. I already have it open here on GitHub. And so this is an entire project, and we don't really need the entire project, although if you're just getting started with it, it might be a good idea to grab it. And I'm probably going to regret not doing it because it's going to involve some JSON, which I'm not super comfortable with. But I'm not going to use a template. Or I'm not going to use their project. I'm just going to see if I can download their WebGL template. So if I come in here to Assets, and we go to WebGL Templates, there's the RPM template. There's an RPM 2019 template. I don't know which one's newer. Probably not 2019 one. So let's download this RPM template here. And download, not that directory. Let's download this directory. Download directory. You know what? That might not be an option for you. That might be a plugin. I think this is a plugin that I installed in Chrome that allows me to do that. I don't think you can do that normally. So let's cancel. How would you do that normally? There's not a way to download repositories normally, a directory from it or a file from it. So we're just going to go back to the main example, and I'm just going to download the whole project because that's what you're going to have to do. So I'm just going to download it as a zip and put it in my downloads folder, and then we'll resume once it's done. Oh, it's done because I have wicked fast internet. So let's come over here, click on it and extract it. Extract all. Sure, put it there. All right, it's downloaded. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go into the assets, and I want the WebGL templates. And you know what? Let's just copy that whole directory. And then we're going to go back to our ReadyPlayerMe C# assets. And wait, does it go in the assets folder? I don't think it does go in the assets folder. It does. Okay. Goes in the assets folder and Control V to paste. There it goes. So now if we go back into Unity, we can see our WebGL templates folder there. But if we go to Preferences, no, not Preferences. If we go to Edit Project Settings, and we go to the player, and we go over here to WebGL Settings, and we look at Resolution and Presentation, we can see there's RPM Template, and there's RPM 2019. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and select RPM Template, and I'm going to go ahead and switch my build settings to WebGL. If you don't have WebGL as an option, go into your Unity Hub, go to your installs, find the installation you're on, click the gear, go to Add Modules, and add the WebGL module. It'll take a little while to install. But I already have it. And so let's just go ahead and let's just bring an avatar in here. All right, and then let's put our camera... Move to view, game object, align to view, ignore the crying baby in the background. All right, so did we switch build settings? No, we didn't switch. Let's go ahead and switch platform. All right, so we're just going to show you, I'm going to add the open scene here. And in order to build a player, the player to resolve the incompatibility between the color space. Okay, so I think our color space is probably set for gamma, and it needs to be linear. All right, I think it's in other settings. Interesting. Linear color space requires WebGL 2. Uncheck automatic graphics API. All right, so now we're fine. All right, cool. Let's just build and run. And so what this will do is it's going to build the WebGL and it's going to kind of start its own little server and run in our default browser. And I can show you what the the template looks like just out of the box. So I'm going to build and run. Let's create a new folder, and we're going to call this WebGL build. Let's call it build underscore WebGL. And there we go. Select the folder. Continue with demo. That's just a warning from ReadyPlayerMe that, hey, you haven't signed up as a developer and change your URL. All right, let's save our scene, and there it goes. All right, I'm getting some type of firewall thing. I'm just going to allow access. But here we go. This is what the default template looks like. Not a lot to look at right now, but I just wanted to show you that they basically just took Unity's default WebGL template and then added some extra stuff that they needed into it. Like if we come look at their documentation, they added a div to the CSS file to handle the iframe for the ReadyPlayerMe avatar editor. But I wanted to show you this since we're talking about it. A way that you can make it look a little bit better so that it's actually full screen. So if you go into WebGL templates and we go into the RPM template and we go to template data and we go to style, that's style.css. So in here is where you can adjust it to be full screen instead of that small tiny frame. So if we come in here and we scroll down, so we get to this default Unity styles, we can see that the Unity container, Unity desktop, it's bringing it left 50 and it's bringing it down 50. If we just get rid of these and we get rid of the translates as well, and I hope I'm doing this right, otherwise this is a waste of time. I think that's all. You know what? Not 0. We want it to be 100% and 100%. And we can probably get rid of the transform and just do that. And now if we build it, I think it'll be full screen, I think. So I'm just going to build and run it again. File, build and run. Continue. All right, it's loading right now. And I totally jacked something up. It's way over here. All right. Yeah, let me go fix this. One thing you can do whenever you want to try to make changes to your CSS style script, right? Style.css, is make sure when you're editing it that you're editing it from the actual build folder and not from the actual WebGL template folder. So while it's running, you can come in here to the build folder and open up the style script. You can make edits to it and then just come over here and refresh the window. Like if I come over here and I set left to 0%, save it, and then I just come over, refresh, and see what that does. All right, it's somehow now filling the screen top to bottom. It doesn't really make any sense. But that's what I want for the left. And then if I change this translate to 0 minus 50 and hit refresh, it's exactly what I want. It's filling the window. I don't know why it's filling the window. It doesn't make sense, but it looks just like we want it to see in our game window here. So this is how I'm changing my CSS. This is the same style script that came from ReadyPlayerMe's template. It's on line 81 if you open it in Visual Studio. So let me go find the actual template now so that when I build in the future, it'll always be correct. So if I come back here, go to Assets, go to WebGL Templates, the RPM template, template data, and if I right-click on the style CSS and open with Visual Studio, and I go down to line 81, I should be able to change that to 0 and this to 0. And then when I do a future build, it'll match up just like we see in the web browser now. All right, so let's go back now and see how we can implement the ability to get the ReadyPlayerMe editor in our actual WebGL game. So I'm back on the GitHub page for their WebGL example. And right here in the ReadyPlayerMe frame, it says all the logic for setting up the iframe can be found here. So we're going to get this JavaScript. Yeah, we're going to get this JavaScript file. We're going to put it into our project. So if I go to my downloads, it is, and there it is. Assets, WebGL templates, RPM template. Oh wait, this should already be in our project because we copied this folder. So that's good. We already have that. So if we go back to our project, oh, I got too many projects. ReadyPlayerMe, assets, WebGL templates. There's the template. Oh, by the way, I also read, and this is for using Unity 2019. Duh. This is for Unity 2020 and all. All right, and it's in template data, and there is the ReadyPlayerMe frame JavaScript there. All right. So supposedly working with JavaScript is actually really easy, even inside Unity. I haven't actually taken the time to learn it. I probably should, because in some of the teams I've worked on, I've seen so many neat tips and tricks that JavaScript can do for you. But what this is referencing in this page here is it's referencing this ReadyPlayerMe JavaScript file. And so it's telling us what this logic is doing in this JavaScript file for us, and how it's subscribing to the different events, and how we're going to have an actual subscribe button send an event to this JavaScript. So this line here, it's basically just creating the web page URL for us. And if I'm not mistaken, what it's doing is it's starting out the HTTPS, and then it's checking to see if we have a subdomain saved in our scriptable object. So by that, it means in our settings here. Okay, so if we have something here, it's going to use it. Otherwise, it's defaulting to demo, but it's going to default to demo anyways, because that's what we have. I could be wrong on what that logic is, but I'm pretty sure what that means is if it can find it, then it's going to use the subdomain. Otherwise, it's going to set it to demo.readyplayer.me/avatar. Later, it's worth noting, keep an eye on this spot in the frame. This spot in the ReadyPlayerMe.js. Okay, keep an eye. You find it. Oh, right here. Actually, this might not even be doing something, because it might be commented. I don't know. I don't read JavaScript. We'll mess with it. But this part here, so really where it ends at avatar, this is going to load the avatar. This part loads the frame API. There are some other parameter commands you can send here as well. I guess let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so I might need to include this URL in the description down below, because I'm not exactly sure where this is. Okay, so it's an SDKs integrations web. So you can add these parameters to the URL to do specific things. Like if you have, for some reason, you're doing a project that a device will be shared amongst multiple people, you might want to add the clear cache parameter. And here it gives you some examples of how you do that. So like this is the typical usage, but if you wanted to add some other parameters, you could do that. So this is something worthwhile to take a look at. But anyways, we're still trying to figure out how to get the web view loaded to begin with. All right, so I finished reading this page, and I think I understand it. The first thing we need to do is this WebGL helper. We need to make sure that this is in the project somewhere. So I'm going to check and see if it's in my project. We're basically looking for that file there. I'm just going to try copying it and see if I can find it in the project. Paste? No. How about just web helper? So where would it be? All right, so in the GitHub, it's in their assets plugins folder. So let's see if we have it too. It's just not searchable. Assets, plugins. No, it does not appear to be here. Because it should be right here in the plugins, WebGL helper. So it's plugins, WebGL. It's not here. So since I downloaded the whole asset folder here, assets, plugins. Oh, I'm not in my downloads. Downloads. There it is. There it is. Assets, plugins, WebGL, or yeah, WebGL helper must be what that is. And let's go back into the real project. I mean, sure, you could have just duplicated their project if you're starting from scratch, but maybe you already got a project going on and you don't want to have to completely rebuild. This is what you'd have to do. Assets, plugins, paste. Go. Plugins, WebGL helper, and there's the web helper thingamajigger looking at. All right, so that's there. And what this does is it lets the browser page, the iframe, communicate with Unity. All right, and this web interface script is by creating the JavaScript library and putting it into the plugins folder, we can import these into Unity scripts to use them as we have here in the web interface class. So we just need to make sure that we have this script also in the project. It's not a mono behavior, so that means it doesn't actually need to be on a game object in the scene. It's just got to be in our project. And I'm betting it's not there, but let's go find web interface. It's not. All right, so it probably shouldn't be too hard to find over here. If we go to assets, nope, this is the wrong thing again. We go to downloads, go to the example, assets, scripts, web interface, right there. So we're just going to copy that. And I'm going to go back to project, assets, and I don't have a scripts folder. So let's just create one. New folder, scripts. All right, boom. Making progress. All right, and so now we could just steal the web avatar loader script they have. You might have saw it whenever I was bumbling about over here in my downloads folder. We could just steal theirs and use it in our scene and it would let us get going, but let's make it ourselves so we can better understand what's going on. And also scripts, web interface. No, that's the one we just did. Web avatar loader, that's what we're looking at now. And so this is an example of how you can make it happen. What they're doing is they're loading it automatically. Like as soon as the scene starts, it's gonna be loading the frame and get you right into the avatar editor, but you might not want that. You might want a button to do that. And then it's going to, as soon as it gets the avatar URL, it's going to start loading the avatar. And you might not want that. Instead, you might want to just store the string and then maybe display something in your UI that says avatar ready, and then you can manually load avatar. So let's go back into our project and let's create some UI. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of this guy, and let's get rid of our avatars folder. And let's just create some UI. So I'm going to go to UI, and I'm going to create a canvas. And then on this canvas, I'm going to create a UI panel. And let's just center it. And let's make it, I don't know, something interesting looking. That. And then, it's also, oh, you know what you should always do when you make a canvas is set your canvas scaler to scale a screen size. Let's do 1920 by 1080. And sure, we'll stick with the width. Now let's mess with our panel width. Let's think of something like that. And then let's add a vertical layout group. And let's put it in the middle center. I don't want those to expand. And now I'm just going to create a button. TextMesh Pro. We need to import TextMesh Pro Essentials. All right, so we have a nice button in the center. And so let's make it bigger to begin with. Turn off low resolution. Let's make this button a bit bigger. Do the width like that. Do the height like that. And let's do, I don't know, launch editor. Okay. We'll call this the launch button. And so when this button when we click on this button, we want to do what we have here in the examples. All right, so let's just create a new script. And what did they call theirs? Yeah, I don't care. Let's just come over to the project and let's go into our scripts folder so that the script always gets created. All right, great. And C# script. And we're going to call this RPM ReadyPlayerMe Avatar Editor. Really long name, but better to be long and know what it is than short and forget what it is. Fun fact, you can edit the templates in how your scripts are created when you first launch them. I tried doing it, but I kept having issues. It wouldn't let me write it. So I've just been too lazy to go do it again. But I always end up deleting what's in gray that I'm not necessarily going to be using. I even delete the start and update function and add it back when I want it. But something you should always do is create a namespace. And what this does is it makes it to where you won't get class conflicts. It's really the most important thing that I've seen with it, because in this series, I'm going to show how to incorporate ReadyPlayerMe with Fusion, Photon Fusion multiplayer networking. And they actually made the mistake to where they didn't use namespaces. And I actually had a conflict with another asset I was using because Photon and the other asset were using the same name for a class. So if you put them in namespaces, you're less likely to have conflicts. So I'm actually going to use my business name here, Googly Eyes Games, put a little dot, and then the name of my project or whatever else you want to do. This could be your namespace, could be instead of your brand, it could be the name of your project, dot what part of your project are you working on. Maybe it's your UI, maybe it's your avatar. So I might do something like ReadyPlayerMe demo dot avatar editor. All right, I could do something really long like that. It doesn't really matter. If I hit Shift Enter, it puts little curlies for me, and I'm just going to cut that and paste it right in there. And now I'm ready to start writing my script. So what do I need? Well, we could put this on our button, but I'm not gonna, because I like keeping things on the surface in the hierarchy. So we need to store a button. So I'm going to always make your variables private. You can always change them to public later if you need to do that. But this is gonna be a private variable, but I want to see it in the inspector. So I'm gonna make it a serialized field, Shift Enter, private button. I hate it when it does that. Private button, I just undo, click Control Z to undo that. Private button, launch button. Right? Now if I hit save, notice I have an issue here. Anytime you have an issue, just hover it, Alt Enter, and it'll give you suggestions. And it's just missing UnityEngine.ui. It added that namespace at the top, and now I can have it. If I didn't want that there, I could also just do UnityEngine.ui.button, and we're good to go. But you know, we're just gonna use the namespace. Oh shoot, come on. Using UnityEngine.ui. All right. Okay, so now that we've done that, we come back over here. We'll see nothing because we haven't done anything. So I'm just going to create an empty game object, and this is going to be my avatar manager. And let's go ahead and take the ReadyPlayerMe editor, drop it on here. You can see we need the launch button. And there's my launch button. I drag it over here. Now, even though this is a game object, and we just want the button component that's on it, because I made my variable a button type, what's nice is Unity is smart enough to automatically find that component and put the component in the variable. And then we don't have to then add more lines of code to actually get the component. It already knows what that component is. All right. So now we should probably reference the GitHub example here to see what lines we want. All right, so we're not going to use private void start because we actually want to wait and have the button call this method. So what's our method going to be? Well, because our button is going to access the method, it needs to be public. It's not returning anything, so we're going to leave it void. And let's just call it launch editor. Right? There's a method, and now it's empty. If I save that, I can now come back. And you might wonder why I keep going back and forth. Like, well, if I don't keep going back and forth, I might forget to do this. Launch button, add non-click event, grab the avatar manager in here, find the ReadyPlayerMe avatar editor component or script, and then choose launch editor. All right. All right, in this method, we're basically going to do all this garbage. I say garbage, but it's not garbage. Useful stuff that we're using to make this happen for us. So if I hit that and I hit save, notice we have some more issues, and that's probably because we're going to be using ReadyPlayerMe. Let's see. I hit Alt-Enter. It says we can use system, or it says we can use system.runtime.interop services, which if you actually look over here, I could have sworn the example had that. I think if we go look, is this the right folder? Yeah. No. Avatar loader. What's theirs doing? This isn't in our project, right? Yeah. So they're using ReadyPlayerMe. Oh, if Unity editor. Weird, they're not using it. Well, let's just try adding ReadyPlayerMe to it. I could have sworn we needed to use the other thing. But using ReadyPlayerMe. All right, so let's come down here and Alt-Enter. And it's lost. It's lost. Try this one. Here it even suggests using system or using system interrupt services. I saw this somewhere. I think we should use that. What happens if I just do using system? It doesn't help at all. Why isn't it giving me this option there? Oh, we're using. It knows it's using web interface. Yeah, it's using web interface there because this is showing us the web interface class. But it says it does not contain a definition for setup RPM frame. Well, that's interesting. So let's control click on it. And let's see. Public static void setup RPM frame. It does. I'm not sure why it's confused because it's checking first. Oh, it wants to know if we're not in the Unity editor and we are using Unity WebGL. So this is weird because Visual Studio is giving us the error because we're in the editor, but if we aren't in the editor, it would be happy again. That's kind of what I'm feeling. Where's my script? Lost it. We'll just go back to the project. This guy. Yeah, so I don't know that it would let us build with that. We don't need this. And are we even using, I mean, it says we're using ReadyPlayerMe, but where are we using it? Ah, for the avatar. Okay. Saw it, right. Now this doesn't exist because we need to have a variable for it. So we're just gonna come up here and do private avatar loader and then avatar loader. Boom, that's happy. But this thing, it does contain a definition for it. It's just not letting us see it because we're in the editor. Right, setup RPM frame. Is it spelled right? Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. I don't know if it'll let us build like that. Let's see. Well, maybe we need more. Maybe it'll figure it out after we add these callbacks. Not really callbacks. But let's just try to build and see what happens. I don't think it's going to build. Web interface does not contain a definition per se. Right. And so you're not going to build for it. We just build and run. You're going to say we can't do it. Save. Yeah, we can't do it. And the reason we can't do it is because you have scripts with compile editor. All right, let me dig deeper. Well, that didn't take long. We just need to put this if statement. That's easy enough. I'm just going to copy that. And then You know, it did it in their version. It did it for the whole thing. So why not? We'll paste that there. And then I guess we'll do it for the whole. They're doing it in the middle of their start. So we'll do it in the middle of ours. And end if. Boom. And so now that clears our error, right? Sure does. I still think we might be able to go ahead and build and run and see this happen. Let's see if that works. Continue with demo. And what we're hoping is it'll open up a web browser. I can click launch editor and it'll give us one. All right, moment of truth. Something's wrong with our template. As you can see, I messed something up or didn't save something right because it's way over here on the left for some reason. All right, let's see what happens if I click launch editor. Nothing happens if I click launch editor. Let's check our console. Does it do anything? Failed to load resource. The server responded with status 404. Using legacy implementation. Please update your code. Use create wrapper. I don't know what any of that means. All right, well, maybe we just need to add more code to it. Or who knows, maybe it doesn't work on a local build. Can't imagine that would be an issue though. I think I figured out the issue why it wasn't full screen. For some reason, I have these in here twice. I don't know how that happened, but now if I make that 0 and if I make that 0 and then I refresh, does that do what I expect? No, it's still messed up. Huh. Oh well, look at it later. All right, so the issue is actually really obvious, and I meant to even point it out, forgot to point it out, and completely forgot all about it. But if we come down to like here somewhere, it's important to note that this script is added to an object called Web Avatar Loader, and it has a function called onWebView Avatar Generated. So I was going to create that anyways, but our big issue is that it can't find the Web Avatar Loader game object because it doesn't exist. So I could either rename the game object instead of Avatar Manager. I could rename it to where's it at? Seriously, find. That's not gonna. WebView. Here we go. Web Avatar Loader. I can rename it that, which I'll just go ahead and do that. Web Avatar. And if I build and run that, it should work. But it's also worth noting if that doesn't work, it could be because there's been some typos already I've seen in this documentation. Well, here it runs. All right, launch editor. And let's check F12. Failed to load resource. The server responded with status 4. I'm still not quite sure what's going on. But another thing we need to look at is in the JavaScript, we need to find out what it's saying the game object. And what's this JavaScript called again? It's called ReadyPlayerMe frame. All right, let's go see where that is. Plugins, ReadyPlayerMe, resources, no. I've already lost it. Where's it supposed to be? Template data. Oh, really? Well, that makes sense because it's got to be where the CSS and all that junk is. ReadyPlayerMe frame. Okay, so let's go look at this. Let's open it up in Visual Studio. Sure, open it. And Web Avatar Loader is what it's targeting. And here is the name of the function it wants to run. Let's go ahead and add that function and see if it makes any difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that and come here to our web avatar loader. Let's edit this. It's not targeting the script though, right? It's just targeting function. Not Unity Editor, and it is Unity WebGL. It should do this when I click the button. Create a new avatar loader. Okay, so let's come back here and let's copy this. Wouldn't it be crazy if it's important that it's on start? And why does that not know who it is? Oh, because I need to use system. Okay, use system. I went ahead and opened up the other project, like their example project. And I don't know why it left its main scene. Scene's this one. Right, so it's got this demo canvas. And it's got this create avatar button. What does it do? It does nothing. It's part of, it must be in the web avatar loader script. So let's look at their web avatar loaders. Wonder if the script needs to be the same name too. What's weird is, do we see a button event? Here's these callbacks. I'm not seeing the button do anything. Here, I'll pause and look. I found the button. They had the script on the demo canvas. So what it does is when the button is clicked, it's calling the web interface and it's telling the frame to become visible. So that's what we're missing. We're also missing a couple other things. First off, I'm going to steal this because that's important. Didn't notice that in their documentation. Maybe I missed it. That's not ours. This one's ours. I'm just going to put that there. And I'm going to make that a method, right? So I'm actually just going to copy all this wonderful good stuff. Hate that formatting, but we're just going to leave it. But also notice this. So I based our script off of what they had in the example, but in their actual, or on their GitHub README, what they have is they're not creating the new avatar loader just, although I don't think that would make that much of a difference. But I'm going to go ahead and make this a private void. I'm going to just do exactly what they did, to where on start they need this to happen. So I'm going to delete that because they don't have that. And then we're the same. And then notice on their WebView avatar generated, they're doing a whole lot more than just loading the avatar. So we're just going to take all of this and then on the avatar load completed, we don't have that one. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. All right, so let's fix our errors over here. We just need to generate a variable for that. Sounds good. Do that one. And this is, okay, we have to have these. These are our callbacks. So we need to have those. Let's go ahead and create that for me. And then this one, go ahead and all right. And just so that we don't get an exception, let's just put some debug logs here. On avatar load failed. And on this one, debug.log on avatar load completed. And this one is where we would load the avatar, I believe, but that's not what we're doing. All right, so what's going on here? So on start, as long as we're not in the editor and we are in Unity WebGL, it's going to figure out what our partner domain is by looking at our scriptable objects in the project. And then it's going to connect to the web interface and set up the ReadyPlayerMe frame using our, which is our partner domain we set up, signed up as a developer. And then, what happens is nothing. Because this doesn't happen until we actually create our avatar, I believe. And then it gives us all that stuff. And so our frame is actually being made, at least what it looks like, but we're not seeing it. And we don't see it until we call this method onCreateAvatar, which we're going to do with our button. And I really hope that we can keep our script named as it is, and that it doesn't need to be named the same as this. That'll be our last thing that we try. Why do I have the launch button here? Oh, I guess I thought about... Oh, that's not ours. I guess I thought about subscribing to the button here, but I decided not to. So we're just going to go to the button. Right? Why did I ever even do that? Yeah, I didn't even need that. And so now we're calling, what is it we're calling? onCreateAvatar, is that what it is? I'm sorry, I'm so tired. I was hoping to get this finished before I gave up for the night, but I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, onCreateAvatar. All right, so this is gonna be my last thing I try before going to bed. I might have to finish this some other day, but let's build and run and see if it works this time. All right, here's the moment of truth. As you might have noticed, I got it to fill full screen, not in a way that I like it's pretty full screen, but it doesn't make sense why it is, but I'll show that to you here in a bit. Let's see if the editor works. And it does. Nice. As you can see, the CSS needs adjusted a bit. So that's something you're gonna want to get that skill. But yeah, so if we chose full body avatar, we can choose masculine. Continue without a photo. I'm gonna grab that guy, looks like me anyways. And we go next. It's loading the avatar. It says demo at the top because that's our domain. Next. Now, it may have actually loaded the avatar behind this window here. Because I think that's what the logic told it to do. Yeah, because it loads the avatar. So it gets loaded somewhere. What's funny is we don't actually store it as a game object or anything. It just gets loaded. So, on avatar load completed. I think this is where we get it, but I think I'm going to pause for the night because my brain has quit working, but it's just going to be a moment of seconds for you because I'm just going to pause the recording and I'll resume probably after I've had some sleep. Oh, but real quick, I'll show you what I did in the style sheet, which I believe is this one. Sorry, the lines are all like different because I copied and pasted. I might have copied it from here. So I don't know which one it is anymore. But when I copied and pasted it, Visual Studio automatically formatted it like this. I took everything out of the footer down. So I just highlighted all that, hit Control-Shift ? And it just commented it. But on, what did I do? On the Unity canvas line. And here, let me see if I can find it in a way that it looks probably on your end as well. Come in here and assets, WebGL templates, template data, style. Open. Those too many styles open. Getting confused. All right. That's not what I want. Style. Where are you opening? You are not opening in any place that I can see. Oh, it is opening. Shoot, did I? How is it? Okay, here we go. So what I changed was instead of on Unity Canvas, instead of width 100%, it's width like VW or something like that. Let me actually go into the real one again. What's this project called? There it is. There it is. WebGL templates, template, style. Unity Canvas. Yeah, width is 100 VW. I don't know if that stands for vertical width, and height is 100 VH. I don't know if that's vertical height. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. But doing that, cleaned it, made it pretty big. Then also on the Unity container, Unity desktop, instead of top 50%, I set it to 45%. Because if you notice, it's still got like this bar, and at 50%, it just had like a white bar across the top. And I have no idea why. Again, I'm not a CSS person. If you are a CSS person, please comment down below. Let us know how we can correct our ReadyPlayerMe WebGL templates so that they can be full screen like this and it'd be more correct than mine is. All right, I'm going to pause. See you momentarily. All right, I lied. I'm not calling it a night just yet. All right, let's go back to, let's just close that now. Let's go back into the project. And actually, let's see if we can fix this real quick. Again, CSS is not my forte, but I bet we can figure it out. Hide. So it saves our spot, so that's interesting. All right. So we need this ours. All right, so we need to go up to the RPM container probably. I wonder which one of these it is. Because there's the container. And it's saying the RPM container. You know what? I think we can use buggy something. Go to elements and we can see what they are. So that's the Unity container, Unity desktop. Notice it's just that corner. Canvas wrap, loading bar, Unity warning, Unity footer. I'm sorry, this is making a really long video. All right, so I figured out the CSS. Just a little quick, did a little bit of research on the CSS. So here's some things I changed. So in the RPM container, the width and height, we're gonna do the trick from before, get rid of the percentage signs, put VWs. Instead of the position being absolute, make it fixed. I didn't do anything with that. I didn't do anything with that, or that, or that, or that. The Unity container, change it from absolute to fixed. And then the Unity container, Unity desktop, you can just get rid of everything that was in there. And then I have this beautiful looking frame now. I don't have any extra garbage. No scroll bars. I can click launch editor and it's full screen now. So that's pretty sweet. And there's my hide button. Now we're going to go back to the project and we're going to make it to where we can, this should get closed on launch. And let's see if we can actually see our avatar get loaded. So all we need to do is go into our, oh shoot, I need to copy all of these to our template. I'll pause and do that real quick. Otherwise, there's our template data. So I should, does this have anything? It does have some stuff. So when you see something like this, this is pulling the width and height from the project folder, the player settings. But it doesn't look like it's grabbing anything else. So I should just be able to come over here to the style. I mean, shoot, I think I remember what I did. I'll just go back in and swap it over. All right, so I got it copied over to the template. All right, so we're in our script. If you don't remember where our script is, it's on our web avatar loader here. Here's our script, ReadyPlayerMe avatar. And the button is calling what? What is the button calling? The button is calling on create avatar. So we also want to game object dot set dot active is active. Is it transform? Transform dot is active. What am I missing here? First, let's go ahead and create our game object. So let's do another serialized field. Can't type. Private game object. And this is our canvas, I guess. And on this, bring our canvas over. Game object. Basically, we're gonna hit this button and we want that to go. So canvas dot set active. False. Sometimes I don't know if it wants to be like canvas dot set active equals false or canvas dot set active false. I don't know. There's I think like components do it like that second way, but that's that. And I guess we're going to build and run again and see if we can actually see the avatar loaded. Oh, wait, but before we do that, let's try to, if the avatar load has completed, I don't know who the sender is. Here's our completion arguments. Here we're actually, let's debug our avatar URL. What completion arguments do we have? E dot, there it is. There's the game object. So we can now store probably want it to be a public. So we're going to do public game object avatar. I don't think we're using that variable. Here on the completed arguments, I'm going to do avatar equals e dot avatar. Then I want to debug dot log avatar dot transform dot. I could just debug the game object, but if I can't see it, that's not really gonna do anything for me except tell me that it exists. So I'd love to see where its position is. And we're also going to debug the string that is created for the glib URL. And I think we're good. I suppose we could also get the failure arguments. So we can get the fail message. And we can just cut that. And let's just put that into our debug log if it fails. Yeah, so let's build and run this and see what we get from this. So it didn't load the avatar. And it's weird because we can see it started it. It was processing the configuration. And then we get URL is null from the processor. And this message is probably from our debug, which is where we debug the avatar URL. And so we get that it's null. And then we also get that the avatar loader failed to load the avatar. Had some type of URL process error. It says the message URL string is null, but then it gives us the URL. So weird. Yeah. So I don't exactly know what's going on with it. First guess, it's like it's doing stuff too fast and it needs to wait. I'm gonna pause. All right, so I just tested it and it works, and I'll show you what the issue was that was causing it to not work. All right, so we click next. So it's working. There it is. It's loading at 0, 0, 0 for the most part. We can show it in the console. We can see it loaded, the load completed. There's its position. Tells us how long it took to load. And apparently having some sort of performance warning. If anybody knows what that means, tell me in the comments. But the issue was, for some reason, the avatar URL was trying to set itself to the generated URL, and the generated URL, that variable, I don't even know where that's coming from. We created it because it was part of the example, but the avatar URL is coming from the JavaScript whenever this method is called. It's giving us the URL, so we don't need it. We were basically clearing it out again for no reason. So that was the issue. So I'm not sure if that's something I made a mistake of, or was it actually in their example. If we go to downloads, we go to their example, assets, scripts, web avatar loader. Yeah, look, avatar URL. Oh, that's the difference. Because they set it to that, but it's kind of unnecessary. We were just able to say the string avatar URL, and we just put that same URL here, and we're golden. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the video. It's wicked long, over an hour, I think. I don't know why it took so long. I've been pausing, but yeah. So now we know how to do WebGL, ReadyPlayerMe avatar editors. My next video is probably going to be on how to do it on mobile devices. Like, comment, subscribe. Come join and hang out in Discord. See you later.